Exactly, and that's the reason why my life took me into those areas, to study these secret societies quite intimately, to definitely get into these occult areas, to find out what it is that they're up to, what are they doing, and then and basically to pull back from the canvas and discover, my God, this is a worldwide ritual that involves many, many tentacles. But getting back to the point about this whole technotronic age, you know, as I said, my work is dedicated to Jim Keith, and I want people to remember his name because he's one of the greatest American researchers you could imagine.
Do you believe he was murdered?
Absolutely, no doubt in my mind, and the people closest to him also speculate upon that.
Well, then his publisher died mysteriously right after he did.
Yes, exactly, and another friend of his, a co-researcher, was also mysteriously killed. So there's no doubt in my mind that they either, you know, they took this guy out because he was so special, he had the ability and the charm to reach many, many people.
Well, he also got wide-spectrum analysis.
Yeah.
I mean, he really got the big picture.
Well, remember, these guys were tied up. Jim had investigated Scientology and did a runner from it because he knew, my God, what the hell is going on here? And then tried to whistleblow that, and from there, you know, went on to, like I did in my own way, to, you know, branch out and to find out about the world, the great global conspiracy. And his work is fundamental. His book, Mass Control, you know, is an essential part of the DVD we're doing right now, about to release next month or very shortly. And this goes into his work. It's dedicated to his work, and people got to understand.
All right, stay there. We're going to break for 1 minute. Come back with the next hour of Michael Tsarion getting into this.
Thank you for listening to GCN.
All right, let me go ahead and talk to him now.
Visit GCNlive.com today.
And from there, you know, went on to, like I did in my own way, to, you know, branch out and to find out about the world, the great global conspiracy. And his work is fundamental. His book, Mass Control, you know, is an essential part of the DVD we're doing right now, about to release next month or very shortly. And this goes into his work. It's dedicated to his work, and people got to understand.
All right, stay there. We're going to break for 1 minute. Come back with the next hour of Michael Tsarion getting into this. My websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, Infowars.net, PrisonPlanet.tv, JonesReport.com, TruthNews.us are some of the alternate auxiliary sites. They have some exclusive news that's only on those sites, but the big main sites that are updated 3 or 4 times a day are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Michael, I want to get into a little bit of positive news first, then I want to get into the technological control grid, the enslavement grid, what your new film's about, that you know, is the bad news, but knowing the enemy is half the battle. But you talk and speak a lot about the exponential awakening. And listen, I tend to underestimate how many people I reach individually, and I'm just one, you know, little outpost in all of this. I don't overgauge myself, but really, it doesn't matter. Any guest I call up now, some engineer or Chuck Norris or, you know, some politician or somebody in another country, or I go to foreign countries, people all over the street come up to me now. You know, I go to Honduras, or I go to England, or I go to Germany, or I go to, you know, some other part of the world, and just, you know, I'm one little guy in all this, and now, I mean, I mean, take Austin, you know, my center of operations. It's now where I'll be at the gym, and 80% of the people in there come up and aren't just coming up saying hi. They're waking up, they're listening. And so I see with my own life an exponential explosion in people starting to understand there's more to the world than meets the eye or the mainstream media surface. And so it's exponential. So I see these two things, that, you know, the global enslavement grid coming head to head with a mass human awakening. Your comments on that?
Well, I agree with that totally. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing my work. It is one of the things everything you said is true for me as well. Wherever I go, the enormous amount of emails and feedback that I get, you know, and even the negative reaction, at least that shows me that this juggernaut, as I said, the lights, you know, must be blinding some people. That gives you the reverse understanding that, you know, it must be happening, because look at even the reactions it's causing, even in a negative way, to people. You must know that by their threat, you can also tell, you know, by their backlashing, you can tell, my God, you know, our time has come. And I always describe it as being that people have to stay very optimistic what's happening. This can... I am not a person who ever believes that evil will ever triumph in the world, because just like nature abhors a vacuum, nature also abhors that which is evil. If you are evil, if you're operating from that mindset, you've actually just raised a red flag to the powers of nature to say, come and get me, wipe me out. And I also believe that we are in the time of the death throes of this kind of, you know, sphere of activity, this kind of imperialism. We're actually, it's bad, it's hot, yep, they're up in our face. But as a matter of fact, I also believe, you see, that it's a situation in which these individuals, it's their dying days. They're in the last phase of the tyranny and that, it's a situation that we're gonna overcome it. And it's just, I don't entertain any other idea at all, because I wouldn't be wasting my time on 5 minutes of any of this research if I didn't totally and utterly believe that good always triumphs over evil, and it will do, and that these people are evil. And my message is that we have to study the nature of evil. Yeah, a person can be good, but a person can also be good and stupid, or good and blind. The point is now that the awakening continues as we pass the torch from one person to the other. We get our arms around as much information as we can. We do not bicker because we have minute differences. We're all encamped here. I said this in one of my talks in Los Angeles. We all have our tents encamped upon the battlefield. We have a common enemy to fight. Let us not then bicker and fight amongst ourselves, which is exactly what the enemy on the other side of the valley wants us to do, and which is expert at creating situations in which we do this. We've got to understand the fifth columnists, the agent provocateurs, who come in to pit one side of the research community against another. That's why the internet is infested with these kinds of people, these so-called debunkers, these so-called swarmy, slimy, so-called internet assassins. I mean, I've often said that, behind every garbage can is a critic. Well, inside every garbage can is a debunker. And these people are the ones who are like the frozen deer, the toothless piranhas that are stifling.
Well, have you noticed they never give any proof either? We're saying we're waking up, we're positive, we're affecting truth. I know. But people who are really doing it are waking people up. They're involved. They're saying, let's work together. But the enemy will attack you and then say, oh, we should work together. Why aren't you working together? They never, it's just unbelievable. But it's not just conscious enemy operatives. There are a lot of just broken down, morbid, malfunctioning minds out there that, also have woken up to the New World Order, but still just thrash about attacking everyone. We're going to continue with Michael Tsarion. MichaelTsarion.com is his website. Stay with us. I'm going to skip this one, too. John.
Are you tired of hearing that
Yes, sir. I'm going to skip this break, too. Okay, Michael, we're going to skip this one, too, for the Internet-only audience. When we come back, let's get into the control grid and a lot more. But, yeah.
You said you had an address?
Yeah, but we're on air. At the end of the show, I'll just give you my address, and I'd like to get your stuff, okay? And I got several addresses, and I don't want to give out my personal address on air.
Yeah, okay, not online, not on air, yeah.
Yeah, but, you bring up the debunkers, and just while we're on the Internet audience, it doesn't bother me that so many people attack me or manufacture all these things I've supposedly done. And I know they do that to you, I know. Excuse me. Absolutely. It's that I know that most of them actually aren't government agents. They are just products of the society. And it just blows me away where, here's an example. There's all these locals in Austin, and they just keep claiming lies about me. They just keep saying I'm in their business, I'm doing things to them, I'm hurting them, and they call me up and say you've done this and that, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and they don't. Well, yeah, exactly, and so then it builds a type of delusion, and we see that with the delusion of the fear of the Muslims, or delusion of the fear of this group or that group. I think it's more of a spirit or a program, a download, not even so much a government operation. Obviously, some of it is, and it's just so sad to see
I believe it.
To see them in their hyper competitiveness. They're just jealous that I'm able to reach so many people, or that you're able to reach so many people, and so they involve themselves in this infighting, and then they make us close our doors to them, and then they blame us for closing our doors to them when they are the ones attacking us and making stuff up.
I agree. I've also tracked the same thing back to envy. I agree wholeheartedly, because I've given it so much thought, since I became more publicly known, of course. Then I had to address this particular backlashing issue. And I've tracked it to envy. I've tracked it to the fact that they are like the deer in the headlights. They're scared to lose, what they think is their security by getting into knowledge, because knowledge threatens you. Knowledge asks you to think more, to think again, to reevaluate everything you know. And this is, of course, extremely threatening to most people who've just, felt, hey, good, I was just falling asleep. I was just rolling over there to go to sleep and have everything be secure. And now you guys come along and tell me about the Illuminati, or you tell me about, the what's waiting for me tomorrow in a dystopia if I don't get up and do something. You put doubt on me about my elected leaders and so forth and so on. You tell me to read. You tell me to study. And this is a big threat to those people who are just so apathetic and narcissistic. So, of course, they backlash. I always take it as a positive sign. In the last segment,
well, no, I agree.
Positive.
But I agree with you. But I'm saying people we've even woken up. They'll admit I've woken them up or you've woken them up, but then they'll still say we're bad. Well, you judge a tree by its fruits. How do we wake up so many, but then we're bad? And then they manufacture all these crimes we've supposedly committed so that they have a rationalization to make up more crap about us. Here we go.
Radio Network.
Okay, we got about 51 minutes left with Michael Tsarion, great researcher, michaeltsarion.com. Michael, break down the technological control grid, the microwave guns, the face scanning cameras, the poison in the food and water, all of it admitted, all of it being intensified. 1 in 33 having cancer, now 1 in 2 in men, 1 in 3 in women. You know, just, I mean, the plagues are upon us. It is engineered. Break down this grid.
Well, this, you know, like I said, coming out of the work of Jim Keith and the people who had more of a look at this technotronic world, and you even have some of the insiders talking about that they can't wait for this, people of the Bertrand Russell School, you see, and the whole bread and circus clan, the intellectual types. What I've been studying is more the elite type, the people at the top of the pyramid,